What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Monday night's Late Night Agenda, where, of course, we've just found out the FA Cup draw. If you aren't aware, the Reds are away at Manchester City in the quarter-final of this season's FA Cup. Not the draw that we would have hoped for, not even a home draw, but it is what it is, I guess. So we've asked tonight for the first poll. What do you think? Will we get past Manchester City in the FA Cup? We'll leave that poll running for you to have your say on. Tonight we're going to be talking about a midfielder, a young midfielder. The Reds have been linked to it. We'll talk about Krupi, the Bournemouth attacker. Again, the Reds have been linked there. A little bit on Nico Schlotterbeck, as it looks like, according to Bild anyway, the Reds aren't interested in a move for the Borussia Dortmund centre-back. We'll give you some quotes from Arne, McAllister, and a couple of other interesting bits and pieces that we hope will keep you right up to date. We'll have a little bit on Anthony Robinson as well tonight. As always, though, my friends, it's your show. You let me know what it is you'd like to discuss in the comments, and I'll do my best to get there. So lots gone on today. Obviously, Connor had a video out this morning. We had a news video out this afternoon. Touching on the big shouts coming out of Spain that an agreement has been reached with Alonso on a 3-year deal. Now, I don't put much weight behind that. What was that, Craig? You put a lot of weight behind everything. Calm down now, folks. Calm down. But we'll talk about it, of course, tonight as well. Look, on the FA Cup draw, there is another interesting twist to this, by the way. I seen this from City Report. They posted to say, with Pep Guardiola suspended, Pep Lijnders will be the man in the dugout for the FA Cup quarter-final tie against Liverpool. It's, that's going to be a little bit, don't know. Seeing Linders be the one, or Linders, I'm not sure how you're supposed to pronounce it, be the one that's in the dugout because Guardiola is suspended. So it'll be Pep Jr. or Pep Light that will be trying to outwit there on the sidelines. Please don't forget the poll. Somebody asked about Slot last night. Thank you for reminding me, Ben. I can't remember how exactly they wanted that worded. If anybody remembers the wording of it, please do let me know. We'll make sure to get that poll on tonight, as promised. But look, I want to give you my thoughts on the FA Cup draw, if I might. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit devastated. Because, you look at the draws that were available to us, and that is the worst one. That is possibly the toughest draw we could have had. Maybe Arsenal away would have been equally as tough. Now, it's not mission impossible, but it definitely is the toughest possible draw for us. So, with that in mind, yeah, it's a little bit deflating because it'll take a big effort to go there and beat Manchester City at the Etihad. Are we capable of it? Yes. Am I expecting it? Fuck no, I haven't. You then look at Arsenal, of course, getting the handy draw that they always seem to get. And I think they'll have gotten to the FA Cup semi-finals without playing, if they win, without playing a Premier League opponent. So couldn't be much handier for them. But look, it is what it is. Look at the draws, they say. And we're going to have to get past Guardiola's men at the Etihad if we're to do it. And I'm not holding much hope for it, honestly. I'm not. It's possible, but I would have preferred another draw. I feel like everyone's against Liverpool. Tough UEFA Champions League and FA Cup. Well, look, the FA Cup's definitely tough, Jaden. There's no denying that, mate. The Champions League, I mean, it kind of is what it is, It's you got to beat the best to win the Champions League. We've Galatasaray in the last 16. It's not the worst draw we could have had. Then, of course, we'd have the potential renewal of hostilities, is that the right phrase I'm looking for, with Paris Saint-Germain or Chelsea, and that'll certainly be an interesting couple of legs. So yeah, it's it is what it is, but that's where we're at. And nobody said this football arc was supposed to be easy, so yeah, let's see what happens. Of course, we still have to focus on the league as well to make sure that we're back in the Champions League next season, so we don't even have the ability to focus really on one competition. It'll be interesting to see though how strong both managers go for the FA Cup game. But yeah, look, I'm not going to lie, it's a bit deflated. Billy said, wait, it's at the Etihad. It is, yeah, we're away. Yep, that's the downside of it, mate. We're away at the Etihad, which is a tough one. Poseidon 2 said, this is Georgie's chance to cement his place as our number one. I don't know if there's any chance of him cementing his place as our number one while Alisson's still at the club. But it'll give us a good look at him, definitely, in a very tough environment over there in Istanbul. So if you aren't aware, by the way, Alisson Becker didn't travel with the team. He felt something in training which the club thought was best for him not to travel over. So we will have Georgie Mamardashvili in goal tomorrow. Federico Chiesa also unavailable, didn't travel with an illness or hasn't been able to train with an illness. So yeah, 2 players out there for tomorrow, and then we've got a couple on yellow cards that we need to worry about. Curtis Jones, I think, is 1 away from a suspension, and I think there's 1 more Liverpool player off the top of my head. So yeah, do vote on the poll though. We want to know, as I said at the start, will we beat Man City in the FA Cup? Yes or no? Is it just 1 game to get through in the FA Cup? It is, mate. Yeah, it's 1 game. It'll be decided on the day. So if it goes to extra time, penalties, it'll all be done that day. I want to move on to talk about refereeing in a moment. But before I do, I just want to read this before I forget. Connor, firstly, mate, thank you. Really appreciate 31 months with us as a member, bro. Said, hey, Craig, 31 months and many more. I probably won't be around for your live stream tomorrow as I'm laying my dad to rest. Will be an emotional day. Well, of course, mate, it'll be a very emotional day, and we'll be thinking of you and your family. Thank you for the support you've given us, mate, and, you know, we're here to support you as best we can in this difficult time for you. So, yeah, if you need anything, give us a shout. We'll try our best to help you out if we can, but we'll be thinking of you tomorrow, my man. Right, I wanted to talk for a moment about referees. I don't know if you guys were keeping an eye on the West Ham game before the stream started, but West Ham got a penalty after a VAR review for a foul on Adama Traore. And the reason I bring this up is, and I'm glad Ali McCoy's brought this up in commentary as well with Darren Fletcher, because the referee bottled it. And it was the first time I thought it was really clear that the referee bottled the decision to wait for VAR to bail him out, because he's seen it. Everyone knew it was a penalty. The commentators knew it was a penalty. The crowd inside the stadium knew it was a penalty. The Brentford players knew it was a penalty. But the referee didn't make the decision and waited for VAR to tell him. And that's where we're at. And I don't like it. That referees now are second guessing themselves. And I think the reason is because if they give it, it has to be so clear and obvious that it can be overruled. I don't like that. Referees should be doing their job. And if there's a clear mistake made, then VAR can clear that up. But the referee not pointing to the spot, I really don't like that. I don't like it. And it's a real example of why VAR is becoming a problem. Because refs aren't doing their fucking job. Right, what else we got in the chat? I swear Arteta did some black magic during the summer because the look they're getting is sickening. It is what it is, Dan, you know. I don't disagree with you. It's, you know, they've got some pretty handy draws, but with regards to the Champions League, well, they earned the right to have that handy draw, to be fair. Now, I know last year we felt like we got shafted, and they've changed the way, you know, the top 2 teams in the league format now go through. So, you know, they earned the right to have the handy draw in the Champions League. They're still going to have to get past probably the likes of Barcelona at some point to make their way to the final in Budapest. But yeah, I definitely agree that the other bracket, our side of the Champions League, is a more difficult one. You know, we'd have to get through Galatasaray, either PSG or Chelsea, and then probably Bayern Munich or Manchester City or Real Madrid. So yeah, very difficult pathway for us, but it is what it is. I wonder, I'd love to know how Arna reacted to that FA Cup draw. Because, you know, let's be honest, he probably is thinking, well, that's a potential trophy route there for us this season. I might give him a bit more time with the club or a bit more credit in the bank. And now that we've a very difficult draw, you're almost, like, let's be honest. As a Liverpool fan now, I'm looking at the Champions League and thinking, that's the best chance now. I'm not saying we won't beat City, but I'm definitely not confident going away from home there in the FA Cup. With the way we've been playing. So it's possible, but yeah, it seems like the route to silverware has gotten a little bit trickier this season now. Do you believe in the hot and cold balls conspiracy in the draws? I'm sorry, but it feels like all the big clubs are getting harder draws except Arsenal. I don't, mate. I don't buy into any of the conspiracy stuff around draws. I don't. You know, I'd like to think they're all conducted properly, and I believe that they are. It is just the look of the draw, though. You know, it is what it is. You know, I wouldn't have felt as concerned if we'd got the draw home against City. I still would have been a very difficult game. Don't get me wrong, but you know, away from home, I don't know. The best hope for us is maybe they're semi-distracted or focused elsewhere. Uh, Wearied Madge said, Craig, how are you getting on? I'm really annoyed that we got City in the Cup and Arsenal got another easy side of the draw again. Well, I'm kind of annoyed about the draw as well. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit deflated after seeing it. He sent Connor a message just before the draw saying, right, Connor, what are you saying? I'm going to say we're going to get Leeds. And Connor said he think we'll get the winner of the West Ham Brentford game. And then I said, joking to him, watch us get City away now. And that's what happened. So, yeah, I take full responsibility for the FA Cup draw. That's on my shoulders. Me, the jinx. Craig, it's the same as the Wrexham-Chelsea game where Wrexham got a red card for a brilliant tackle, in my opinion, but VAR had to stick their nose in. It wasn't a brilliant tackle. It was a foul, and it was a yellow card. But I agree with you, the red card was ridiculous. That's one of the worst red cards of the season for me. And I can't even believe that there were some journalists. Now, it was kind of a split. Some said it was a red, some said it wasn't. For me, if we're giving them as red cards, football's gone. Rain said, I wanted Southampton at Anfield. Yeah, look, Leeds, Southampton, any of those would have been, comfortable enough. But look, it is what it is. We've got to do our job and go there and try to get the win. It's possible, on our day we can beat anybody, but it would take one of our better performances of the season. So let's wait and see. Right, let's get stuck into some of the news because there's a lot I want to go through tonight. Let's talk about Alonso. So a report coming out of Spain, OK Diario, who are they related to Diario AS or one of those companies? Anyway, this report that Anfield Edition posted, crediting them for the post, said Xabi Alonso has an agreement in place to take over at Liverpool next season on a 3-year deal, provided Arne Slot doesn't win the Champions League. Now, that doesn't pass the smell test for me. And let me explain to you why. The idea of saying to a manager like Alonso or anybody that, yes, mate, we want you for the job, you're the guy, unless Arne wins the Champions League. And then, even though we don't want him, we'd have to keep him on. Because that's kind of what it feels like, right? If that's to be taken as true, that's basically what they're saying. We don't want him, we plan to sack him, but if by some miracle he pulls the Champions League out of his backside, we're going to have to stick with him. That's why I don't put much faith in that story. Because that's not the way a football club would operate. I absolutely, believe that they would have put feelers out to Alonso, but I couldn't sit here with a clear conscience and say to you that that story's spot on. Now, like I said, it does feel like the direction of travel here is towards Alonso, but I don't quite believe that story personally. I'd love it to be true, but I don't believe it because of that little caveat. Because imagine you're Alonso and you're starting to make your plans. You're looking at where you're going to move your family. You're looking at the way Liverpool play. You're looking at what maybe they need in the transfer market. And you're starting to do all this research and work towards a job. And then Arne pulls the Champions League out of his arse and they say, nah, sorry. Sorry, we've changed plans now. It just doesn't make pass the smell test. How confident are you we get Alonso in the summer? Well, David, my information, as I sit here right now, is that the club are moving towards Alonso for the summer. That's the last piece of information that I have on it. It isn't definitive, and I would definitely say don't take it as gospel, but that's where I think we're headed. Now, what happens with the remainder of the season? I personally don't think there's a way Arne can turn this around. And I would say for me as a fan, and I'm only speaking for me, let's say we won the Champions League. Let's say we went and done it. Well, unless we turn up and play like the best version of us, I'm not being won over. Because in my head, and again, feel free to call me a shithouse. In my head, I would say we did it in spite of him and not because of him. Because look, we've had long enough this season to try and figure it out, get an identity and play some football that we like. And here we are now, 9 league games to go. And we still haven't found it. And we still haven't found a methodology that works. So for that reason and many more, I'd be on the side of I think he's not the right man. But let's wait and see. Chris Thorne, how are you, Chris, my man? Said, we didn't invest in the players we needed in January. We simply sat there and watched them sign for City. And there's nobody to blame but ourselves for having to face them. Oh, here's your brother, mate. I absolutely agree with you. It really frustrated me that we didn't bring in somebody for the here and now at centre-back in the window, Chris. It really did. The Semenyo one, I can go either way on that. I'm not I'm a little bit disappointed, but not as much as I am around the Mark A situation. So, yeah, that one winds me up something fierce, mate. And, they could be difference makers for Manchester City in all competitions. So, definitely understand the frustration and where you're coming from. But here's another way to think about that. As I was reading out your comment, Chris, some thoughts were going through my head. And the first thing that popped into my head was, did the club do nothing because they don't want to put more money behind Arne? Again, I don't know. I'm just telling you what popped into my head as we were discussing your comment. Stevie boy, no contract talks with Maka, could be on the move. Well, I don't like to do the whole, I told you that this could be on the cards, but, I know people sometimes when I say things, they don't want to hear it. And that's understandable. But I usually say these things from an educated position. And it always felt to me like this was the concerning one in midfield. When the Jones situation started to come up, that eased my fears a little bit, because I do think it'll only be one of those two that we lose. But yeah, to hear Maka say that there's been no contract talks yet is frustrating, because you would have hoped that those talks will be underway. Just to give you the direct quote on that one. 1 second. Where are we? Where's the comments from Maka? Right here. Actually, don't have to do it. Oh, yes. Alexis McAllister. We are not in contract talks, but we're not in a rush. So, yeah, that's the words from Alexis McAllister on the contract situation. Of course, his father, who acts as his agent, also said something similarly. Right. Let's start looking at Georgi Mamardashvili. So, he was asked about being deputy to Alisson Becker, and this is what Georgie had to say. My ex-goalkeeping coach, when I was in Valencia, told me that I had to find a balance between ambition and patience. So keep working hard, and you never know when your chance is coming. It is, of course, never easy, because there's just one goal. But as I said, if I don't play, I don't mind. I have to work hard every day, and that's it. My time will come, for sure. Maybe it's not this year, but my time will come. And look, we are going to get a chance to look at him now. And like we said about many other players, Rio Ngamoa, or players that we haven't seen that much, this will be a good proving ground and testing ground for them, because you're not going to get many more difficult away trips than Galatasaray away. It's going to be a tough atmosphere. The fans are going to make it very loud inside that stadium. And, if these guys can cope with it, good. That's what we want to see. This is going to be a good testing ground for these boys. So let's wait and see what happens. So Arne Slot then spoke a little bit about the importance of Champions League football for Liverpool and in general. He said it's very important for us as a team, because we want to be in the Champions League. And it has shown how important it is for this club financially. We're in transition at the moment as a team. We always knew this was going to happen after Jurgen left. It was something they said to me when my first conversations were there. We're still in that transition, and a transition works better if there's money available. So we know how important it is to qualify for the players, just to play Champions League football, but definitely also financially for the club. That wound me up a little bit. Now, to be fair, most things he says these days wind me up. What winds me up is, he said that was said to me when I first came in. And that I totally understand. But that was nearly 2 seasons ago now. So I'm not buying this bollocks about transition again. You chose not to bring in players in year one. You chose to sit back and watch the team evolve and see who you thought was good enough and who wasn't. And you won the league. Then you were given the money. You go out and you build out the team. And look, I'm aware we've had some injuries this season. Absolutely. I'm also aware that it takes players time to settle in. But it doesn't take them 29 games to settle in and still look like they don't have a rhythm to their game, or like they don't have an identity. So again, I find that a very frustrating press conference from Arne. Eddie, nothing's going to change my opinion either. Yeah, so look, there was disappointment today when the FA Cup draw took place, but you also thought, well, here's another big test for Arne. Let's see what he can do. Florian Wirtz, speaking about when he was finding about Liverpool's interest in him, he also knew Frimpong had interest in going to Liverpool, and this is what he said. From the day I heard the interest of Liverpool, I found out they were also interested in Jeremy. We were sitting next to each other, so we were speaking almost every day. How's it going and how it would be so cool if we go together, which of course they did, and it's lovely to have them both at the club. He also went on to say that his footballing idol was Messi. For our generation, he's the best player and maybe ever. Well, if he can, summon some of that Lionel Messi energy, that wouldn't be too shabby. I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I shared in our WhatsApp, which is a little segment from Sky Sports that I read, and it said, masked fans unplug monitor in anti-VAR protest. Masked fans unplugged a pitchside monitor to deny a referee the chance to carry out a VAR check in a German second division game. The Bundesliga 2 clash between Preußen Münster and Hertha Berlin took an unusual turn as referee Felix Bickel went to do a VAR check for a possible penalty only for the screen to go blank. Masked figures in Preußen colours climbed the metal barriers in front of their stand to unplug the equipment, leaving the officials unable to have another look at the incident. The incident was all part of a planned anti-VAR protest from the supporters, who later unfurled a banner. Thoughts? Taking matters into their own hands there, unplugging the VAR monitors. I'm not suggesting anybody do that, by the way. I just wanted to give you another insight into some of the backlash around VAR, because more and more now inside stadiums around Europe, you're seeing clubs fans unhappy with VAR and speaking up about it. Again, not suggesting anybody starts running around at Anfield trying to unplug the monitors or anything like that, but I just thought it was funny. Right, team talk. They say that Fulham and United States of America left-back Anthony Robinson favours a move to Liverpool over Manchester United. Both clubs are in the market for reinforcements in this position, with Liverpool looking to replace Andy Robertson and Manchester United planning for life without Luke Shaw. Robinson could be available for about £25 million. Now, if we lost Andy Robertson, and if Robbo and the club just, can come to an agreement for him to continue with us, which is my priority, Anthony Robinson would be a great addition. And if you could get him at 25 million, if that is a reasonable, that is a sincere fee, I'm all over it. He would be a great addition. Experienced, older, of course, 27, 28, I think. Really good engine, ability to get up and down that left-hand side. And for me, and look, I'll put this to a poll in a bit, I'd take that as an Andy Robertson replacement if Robbo moves on. Now, again, I want Robbo to stay. That's my first priority. But Anthony Robinson, I take that. Premier League experience, really good engine, international player as well. It'd be a thumbs up for me for 25 million quid. Ian said, buying all these players has not improved Liverpool. Are they as good as we think, or is it the manager? Look, my answer is going to be it's the manager, Ian. I'm always aware that players take a bit of time to settle in. And I've no issues with that. And I said it at the start with Wirtz, no sweat, how long he takes to settle in, he will come good. And he has started to come good. Kirkes, again, same thing, coming into a new club. Yes, he had Premier League experience. Frimpong, we've been unlucky with. He's had injuries that he just wasn't getting over in Germany. And then Isak has been, again, somewhat what we expected. But then he had that fractured leg, which, nobody could have planned for. So I think it's more down to the manager for me. What really worried me, though, was it never looked like we had a plan of exactly what we wanted to do out there. How many different positions have we seen Wirtz shoehorned into so far? Dominic Szoboszlai, again, the manager seemed to have a bee in his bonnet in the press conference about Dominic Szoboszlai and right back. Somebody asked him the question and he got very defensive seemingly about it, asking, Dominic Szoboszlai will play in the best position. He's a central midfielder, Arna. Frimpong's fit. There should be no thought process to play Szoboszlai at right back against Galatasaray. It doesn't work. Again, we're taken away from another area of the pitch. Just because he can do a job there doesn't mean he should be there. Jeremy Frimpong is a right back and he's fit. Surely he plays the game. And if he doesn't play it, then surely Gomez plays it. I don't like this idea of moving players around all the time. We need to get into a rhythm and get settled. And yes, we've been unlucky at right back this season. I've no problem putting my hands up and admitting that. But those days are hopefully behind us now. And we should look to have some continuity for the remainder of the season. Did Xabi Alonso really agree to join Liverpool? So, that report, I would say, take with a huge pinch of salt. But all I can say to you, Eno, is my information is that Alonso's the candidate, that Alonso's the direction of travel. Other people I've spoken to, some journalists, some just other content creators, kind of hearing similar things. But it'll come down to what happens for the remainder of the season. You know, if he pulls a Champions League out of his backside, it would be a bold call to sack him. I would, but I don't think the club would. So, yeah, truth is, mate, I think the lack of clubs you're seeing Alonso linked with as well is a good way to look at this. You're not seeing Alonso's name mentioned all around Europe with job after job after job after job. Somewhat mentioned with Manchester City, although I do think that'll be Maresca if Guardiola moves on. And I watched an interview that he did with Guillaume Balaguer. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. Somebody shared it in our Discord group, and I watched the interview. And he spoke about maybe one day managing Liverpool and what the club means to him. And this was 8 years back. But he also said something really important in that interview that stood out to me. And it being about timing and these things having to all line up. And we often talk about sliding doors moments. And this feels like one of those sliding doors moments where perhaps, you know, the exit door is opening for Arne. Alonso's out of a job now, having been fired by Madrid. So there's no having to negotiate with another club about releasing him or anything like that. So it feels like it's a natural time to get it done. So yeah, that's why I'm optimistic on it. But I can't commit to anything until we know what happens for the remainder of the season. Because like I said, it feels like it would be very difficult if you fired a manager that won a Champions League. Okay, yes, thank you. Keno very kindly found me the poll question from yesterday. Absolute legend. By the way, can we get some love in the chat for Keane and the moderators, particularly Keane lately, because he's on the money with so many things. He helps me out after games, sending me on all the quotes after the match and stuff like that. And I just want all the moderators to know, I know you get a hard time often. I know some people are in your ears, but from our side, we love you to bits. We appreciate everything that you do for us, and it does not go unnoticed. Like I keep saying, we couldn't function without the great support we get from the moderators. So to all of them, thank you so much. Right, let's see where we are with this poll. And again, Mark very kindly reminded him of it as well, Keane said. So massive shout out to Mark as well, who is always and still is so grateful and so great and helpful to me. Yeah, really appreciate it. Right, so we asked, will we beat Manchester City in the FA Cup? 56% of you guys said no, 44% said yes. I've got to say, I don't think we do it. If it was at home, yes, but away from home, it's a big one. I'm feeling pretty deflated about the draw. I'm worried, so I am going to say we don't win. Right, let's ask this poll question exactly as it was written yesterday, so I can be spot on. So let me write this down. Okay, so again, before anybody comes in and start getting angry at the bald man, this is a poll from yesterday. A gentleman called Yawn, not You'll Never Walk Alone, posted to say, suggest a poll, Craig, Champions League winner not, should Arne be sacked? And I promised them I'd come back and do the poll today. Somebody kindly reminded me in the chat as well at the start. So there it is. There's the poll. UEFA Champions League winner not, should Slot be sacked? And we'll revisit this one when it gets to 1,500 or 2,000 votes, and we'll see how everyone's feeling about it. Oh, penalty for Brentford in the FA Cup. Gavin Saunders said worst outcome in the draw. I would say so, Gavin, yeah. And I would include Arsenal away in that. Yeah. At home, I'd give us a good chance against anybody. And, you know, City away, you know, it might come down to how thinly stretched they are. with all the games they have coming up. But I was looking at the much changed team they put out the other day against Newcastle, and even their changed team looked very, very strong. Right, let's keep going with some of the news. There's been a little bit of chatter around Kefren Thuram over in Italy. So this piece here from Tudor Sport said, Juventus are working hard to tie down Kefren Thuram, but interest from Liverpool, Aston Villa and Manchester United is there for potential transfer. They go on to say Thuram has become one of the Serie A's best midfielders in the last 2 seasons. Now again, I would say, if we wanted Kefren Thuram, we could have had him. So I don't understand why we again would not go for a player in a position that we still need, and I'd pass on this one, to be honest with you. I'd say no, don't. There's better options out there than Kefren Thuram. So yeah, look, we'll leave that poll, as I said, running a bit longer, and we'll give you a chance to have a proper say in it. So Alexis McAllister, speaking about Mohamed Salah, has said this. It's been a tricky season for all of us. It's up to us to find the right thing for him. It's our responsibility to get the best out of him. We did it last season, but this season we're struggling a bit. He said it before, and still learning to play with the new players, still adapting. He knows well how to improve his numbers. He's a fantastic player. I don't need to say it. Speaking about the possibility of winning the Champions League, Alexis McAllister said this. It's my dream right now. It's a World Cup year, so why not win it twice? But Champions League is an important goal this season. We have a team who can win it, and I'm pretty sure the game tomorrow is going to be a tough one, which of course it will. Galatasaray will be right up for this game. It is going to be a difficult one, but look, let's be honest about it. Over 2 legs, we shouldn't be going out to Galatasaray, with all due respect to our Turkish hosts. We shouldn't be going out to them. I am unfortunate, said, bored of FA Max Fiction, game is so dead. I'm not going to say there's any match fixing going on. I don't buy into it, but I'm deflated by the draw, mate. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's a big barrier in the way of some silverware, and especially when you look at the likes of what Arsenal and Chelsea have had to do this season, and yes, particularly Arsenal's run in. Yeah. Damon said, Craig, City Extra reporting Liverpool be facing Pep Blinders instead of Guardiola. Yeah, I touched on it, Damon, just at the start of the stream, mate. Guardiola suspended, as you've rightly said, so yeah, it'll be El Greasy Boy. I don't even have a nickname for him, but he's really fucking annoyed me. The celebrations on Anfield after they won as well. I don't know how others feel about this, but to me, he's more of a snake than Trent. That's like they both absolutely shafted us. But what he's done, Pep Blinders, has really, 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 really struck a nerve with me. Really, to go from us to the antithesis of us and everything that we were about. It's fucking rat behaviour. It is. And I don't care what people think about me. And I don't care if people say, Craig, that's not a nice way to talk about somebody that did so well with us. He said he wasn't going to be another number 2 again. And then he went and ran to the very team that we fought against for all those years. Ran straight there towards Guardiola. And if anybody doesn't think that that's bad form, I don't know what to say. It's horrible. And it undermines everything that he did with us, in my opinion. Craig, look at the way Joe Hart pulled out Liverpool. He looked at the balls before he did it. Again, I can't bring myself to think Anton's fixed like that. So I don't know. I'm not going to jump on that bandwagon to say the draw was fixed. It is what it is, and it's just a shit draw for us. Oh, I like that from Dave Sharples, he said, but he turned out to be a big number too. I like that. I like that, Dave. Right. Where are we at here? Something from Arna that I wanted to highlight in a good way. He said, I want to congratulate Ryan. Oh, sorry, this is actually McAllister's comment. My apologies. I want to congratulate Ryan as it's really good for him and he deserves it. He's been a really important player for us in the season we won the Premier League, which is not easy at all. So congratulations to him. That was Alexis McAllister talking about Grafenberg's new contract. Tomorrow, by the way, will be Arne Slot's 100th game in charge as Liverpool head coach. And speaking about that milestone, he had this to say. Makes me really proud I can be the Liverpool manager and the 100th game. Not a bad track record, even if sometimes we get a different feeling. Makes me proud, and it's nice that the 100th game is such a nice one to play. But as always, it's about the players. I try to prepare them for the same 99 games before. They have to perform, and I'm lucky I have a very good team. I've all the trust these players will perform to the levels of a Liverpool team. So, congratulations to the head coach on achieving that milestone. 100 games up is 100 games up, whatever way you look at it. So, fair play. Gary said, ever think of doing a phone in? I'd love it. Yeah, it is something we've considered before. Now, thankfully, technology's moved along quite a bit from when we initially thought about it, Gary. The way we thought about it was we'd do the phone in, but we'd initially open it up to members and do a members only thing that we sort out at the back end of YouTube via a community post to members. Initially, and the reason we say that is because we know the members, not all of them, but we know some of them a little bit more, because what you don't want to happen is somebody coming through on live content and saying something that none of us want to hear. Something racist or something, some shithouse who just wants to call in to cause issues. And none of us want to see that happening. So, I'd love to do it. And I'd love to get more of your thoughts. It's just about trying to find a balance and act that we can do it and not land ourselves in a bit of trouble over it. I guess if you recorded it and didn't do it immediately live, so let's say you recorded the phone in and then you put it out an hour later, maybe. But like I said, there is a bit of a balancing act there. If Arne loses by a significant margin of goals against Galatasaray and gets knocked out of the cup, does he get fired? Yes. But let's be honest, even as bad as we are, we shouldn't be getting knocked out by Galatasaray over two legs, with the second leg being at Anfield. We just shouldn't, It's quarter-final time for me that I'm starting to be concerned about the draw. Because then you've got potentially Paris Saint-Germain or Chelsea, and I think it'll be PSG. But yeah, that's when it gets serious, and that's when we've got no more wiggle room. We've got to that's going to be a tough one. Right, let's talk about this link from our friend Ben Spochak. He put up a link to say Liverpool will meet with Caleb Irenky's. Yeah, Irenky? Yirenkyis. Caleb Irenky's agent during the March international break to discuss a transfer for the Nordirland star. The 20-year-old's ability to play as a defensive or box-to-box midfielder as well as fullback makes him highly attractive prospect for the Reds. Anybody got anything on this gent? Don't know anything about him. Looks like a big lump of a fella as well, especially at 20 years of age. He looks quite well built at 20 years of age. So, again, Caleb, the first name, Caleb, surname Irenky, Yirenky. I don't know anything about him, but that's one link that we've been linked with according to our friend Bence. And again, Bence is very good at looking at up-and-coming talent, one of his really strong assets as a journalist. Craig, what's your dream stadium to visit? Unfortunately, I'll never get to visit my dream stadium the way things look, but I've always wanted to do 3 stadiums in the United States that are on my bucket list. The Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta, the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and SoFi in California. There are 3 stadiums, because I'm a stadium geek. I love football stadiums. And if I go away on holidays ever, I try to take in a little stadium visit if I can. We went over to Elche last time we were in Spain. So I might try. Actually, I can't go because Toronto are playing away when I'm over there in September. So, but I might still try and take in. There's a Canadian football game at the Toronto Stadium when I'm over there. So I might try and take in that just to see their little stadium. But yeah, they're the three dream stadiums for me, and unfortunately, won't be able to go. George said, "How are you, Craig?" I'm good, my man. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Right, let's talk about Telefoot, who have said Liverpool have set their eyes on Bournemouth forward Eli Junior Krupi, who is having a wonderful season. He scored 8 goals and started 13 times. A possible move to Liverpool could be on the cards at the end of the season. Now, this link has been there for a while now, but my question would be, do we really need to invest in another central forward? Because we have Isak, we have Ekatike, we've got Will Wright, Jaden Dans. I just don't see our need to go and spend money in that area at the minute. It just doesn't make sense to me. New camp for me with a massive pitch. I've been to the new camp, not since it's been done up, but I've been to the new camp. That was impressive. No dream of Lambeau Field in Green Bay. So no, I would love to go and visit it, but I was asked about my stadium list, and that they're genuinely my three stadiums. Like Lambeau Field is iconic, and it's the Packers ground, so obviously I'd love to go see a Packers game, but it was never on my dream list of three. I'd love to go for the experience of going to a Packers game, but a lot of American stadiums are that bowl shape that are exposed, and I don't understand why they do it. I don't, fans not being rained on. It's so yeah, the stadiums that I'd like to see are ones that are indoor stadiums that I haven't really had the chance to see much of. I don't think I've ever been to a game actually with a retractable roof. So yeah, that's why. Right. Seen somebody mention Dortmund's yellow wall. Well, while we're talking about Dortmund, Bild have said that Liverpool are not looking to bring Nico Schlotterbeck in this summer. The Reds feel that they've addressed the future of their defence with Giovanni Leone and Xhaka, and are happy with Van Dijk, Joe Gomez, among other current options in the squad. Now, I'm not saying they're wrong about us being interested in Nico Schlotterbeck, but any conversation that said Liverpool are happy with Joe Gomez and current options, I think is foolish, because we know Gomez is likely to move on in the summer. So we would be having to look for somebody to replace him one way or the other. And Xhaka, isn't it? Xhaka is filling the gap, let's say, that we have now. So we also still need to figure out what's going on with Canade and his contract, and they didn't really mention Canade in that sentence there either. What about English football stadiums? Well, I've been to Spurs Stadium twice. Really, really impressive. Went there for an AJ fight and went there for a Spurs FA Cup game. I was over doing something in London and we had a spare night and Spurs were playing, so we went. That was really impressive. Great stadium. I'd love to see St James's Park. I'd love to go up and visit St James's Park. Connor said that Fulham's Craven Cottage is a really interesting stadium. Been to Old Trafford, although it was a long time ago. I've been to Old Trafford for a game. I've no interest in going near the Etihad. The Emirates, maybe. But again, I think I've seen the best stadium in London with Spurs one. So, what do you think if there's any other ones that I'd be interested in seeing in English football? Wembley. I'd love to go to Wembley for something. That would be awesome. Never been to Wembley, and it's definitely on my bucket list. Elks, how are we, dude? Said, it's for our football. We embrace the elements, or did when they were built. Buffalo is a dome. They like snow. Come to Jacksonville since the Reno's done. Yeah, I'm aware of why they like the elements exposed, and like you said, the Bills like playing in the cold. That's their identity. But I don't know. The idea of people getting frostbite in the stands just doesn't appeal to me. But yeah, the Jacksonville, I can't go to America, so I won't be able to set foot in any of these stadiums. That's the problem that I have. I told you we were looking to do one more big family holiday before my son gets too old to want to go with us, and we're going to Toronto in September to do that. So, yeah. Right, let's keep going. More news to go through. Let's check in on our poll, actually, see how that one's getting on. Oh, it's pretty one-sided. So we're saying, Champions League winner or not, should Slot be sacked? And again, this was a suggested poll from one of the viewers, so that's why we put it up. Yeah, Celtic Park's one I'm going to go to. Actually, I have a couple of mates who are huge Celtic fans, and they keep trying to get me to go over to a game. And I definitely will go over with my mate Jimbo to a game at Celtic Park. Yeah, that will definitely happen. Why can't you go to the US? So I've been to America 6 or 7 times, but the last time we went to Boston, we had an ESTA, which is a visa waiver. And because we were doing our show in Boston, apparently I needed a different visa. So I was removed off the visa waiver program for life. So if I want to go to America, I have to go and do an interview at the American Embassy, fill out an ungodly amount of paperwork, and apply for a 10-year holiday visa. And I looked at the paperwork, and it was just ridiculous. I was asked less questions on the mortgage application form. So, yeah, that's unfortunately removed the option of going to America for us. Now, my son, my daughter, my wife, they're all still able to travel. It was just me and Connor that were removed off the visa waiver program. So, yeah. Unfortunately, that's why. I bet you were hoping I said something like I had a criminal record, but I'm pretty squeaky clean in that regard. Right, let's keep going. Lots more to go through. Let's talk about this young Portuguese player. So, Ebola over in Portugal have said Liverpool have set their sights on Portuguese right back Daniel Banjaqui, spelled Banjaqui, so Banjaqui, from Benfica. The promising defender has a £25 million release clause, but Benfica want to give an approved contract this month when he turns 18 with a huge release clause. So, again, I'm not going to sit here and profess to know anything about this gentleman, but he is a defender, and we need defenders, so let's keep an eye on the situation. If that comes with, of course, we'll let you know. The way it's the same if you have a criminal record. I know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Do you know what the really annoying part was? The lady at the Department of Homeland Security said to us, "Oh, this is a common misinterpretation." So I'm thinking, so it's a common misinterpretation. Do you know what really wound me up about it though? We'd registered for tax for the show, so we went to the IRS and registered for tax and all that stuff. We'd done everything through the books. We went through Ticketmaster for the show. We did everything we thought we were supposed to do. And what really kicked me in the guts with it is when we weren't allowed over, there was 2 other Liverpool content creating channels that were over in America, and I'd almost bet my life they went in on the same visa waiver that we did, only for I told the truth to the border agents, and the border agents that's what you get for telling the truth. I could have just said I was going on holidays and went in and said nothing, but because I didn't think we were doing nothing wrong, I was honest and upfront with them, and that's what you get for being honest and upfront, which didn't really feel like the punishment fit the crime, but like I said, it is what it is. Not much I can do about it. Right, what would it take to get both Diamande and Gordon? Probably, I'm trying to be somewhat realistic about it, north of 150 million, I would say, for the 2 of them. Mohammed, how are you, dude? Said, bro, we draw shitty. I know. It's a kick in the nuts, mate, isn't it? AJ said, Craig, have you been to Dubai or Saudi before? No, I've not had the pleasure of going to anywhere towards Asia or that part of the world. It's definitely the next area I think our family have to visit. I know a few people, like Connor's been to Japan and loved it. Spoke very highly of it. I know a lot of friends who've been over to Dubai loads of times, loved it, really enjoyed themselves. For me, definitely Asia. Like, I want to see Thailand, I want to see Japan, I want to see Hong Kong, Singapore, They're definitely on the bucket list places to do. But, it is what it is. I'd say also, as you get older, you start to want to tick these things off the list. And Toronto was somewhere that I hadn't been in 20 years. We were over there for my daughter's first birthday. So being able to bring Lucas over and bring him to Niagara Falls and bring him to the CN Tower, it's going to be cool. I feel like I'm a very proud papa being able to do that. Yes, I like this from Eddie. Said 1.7k watching and 300 odd likes. Come on, Reds. I love it, mate. Well in. Yes, folks, please do. The more of you that hit that like button, the more it pushes the content out there. And thank you, Eddie, for highlighting it as well, my man. Appreciate you. Right, so the poll's gone over 1,000 votes. We'll leave it go a little bit longer. And we want to know, Champions League win aside, even if we win that, should Arna still be fired? And again, this isn't me just trying to push my Arna narrative. This is a question from a viewer. So let me give you some quotes from Arna on not being able to compete again this season. This is what the manager said. Now, I really, really do want to know your thoughts on this, folks. So if you can, hear me out, reading out the couple of paragraphs, and then let me know your thoughts on what he said. Because I don't want to tell you mine and preempt your feelings. So let me read it out and let me hear what you say. So he said, again, on not being able to compete again this season, he said, we always knew this would be a very difficult season because we lost a lot of players and we brought players in that took some time to get up to speed. We always knew the signings we made would be a big success at this club, but we also knew that it might take some time for them to adapt, and I think that has been shown. Not by the performances, but by playing every 3 days. That intensity is something new for a few of them. Add that to the list of injuries we had, some players missing out of pre-season, the ones that won the league last season. That has meant, with multiple other factors, that we're not able to compete to win it again. And give credit to other teams as well, the way Arsenal has done in the summer, by signing so many good players and then still playing the football they do, as they did last season already, they improved even more. Manchester City, as always, are on top over there. They have been better than us this season. That is completely clear. So, a lot of times during that, he said, we always knew. 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 Did we, though? Did we? Because that doesn't really tally with the narrative in the summer that everybody was talking about. Fans, media, pundits. Definitely don't remember the conversation being, well, this season for Liverpool is definitely going to be one where they're all over the shop. Because, they've only broken the British transfer record twice. They've only brought in another great fullback on both sides. They've only done that. So, of course, they're going to struggle. It doesn't tally. He just... yeah. Eddie said, is talking a load of rubbish. I know. It's just... there's even a sentence in there that when we up about Arsenal. He said, the way Arsenal has done in the summer, by signing so many good players and still playing the football they do. And still... Does he not fucking watch Arsenal? He goes on... What's this about? Playing the football they do. They're horrendous to watch. They're rolling around, killing the clock. It's... I don't look at Arsenal and think, wow, what a brand of football, and all these extra signings are allowing them to still play this amazing brand of football. No, it's horrendous. It's absolute dire nonsense from Arsenal, and they're trying to shithouse their way to the league title. I don't want us playing that brand of football. Their squad depth is impressive. I'll give them that one, but... Alan P84 said Slot shouldn't be allowed to take part in press conferences anymore. Each time he opens his mouth, he says something dumb. I still can't understand why we didn't go in for Gay and Semenyo, or at least one of them. Slot being sacked end of season or not, those players would have been beneficial for Xabi or anybody, said Escotia. I agree. Look, the Mark Gay one seemed so open and shut. as an obvious one to do. I really don't understand why we didn't. The Semenyo one, look, fair enough. One way or the other, we'll all have our thoughts on it. But the Mark A one in particular, that still really, really, really fucking annoys me. You know, we wanted him in the summer, and we were willing to pay a fee for him. We could have got him for a less of a fee, and somehow we just stand there and do nothing about it. So the decision-making process is flawed there somewhere. It's either flawed in the summer when you were going for a player that you didn't really want, because then the player became available in January, and I think we'll all agree that when the time January came around, our position with regards to the depth at centre back was up shit creek. Giovanni was out for the season. We knew we were in trouble in that position. We had no depth there, and we did nothing. And not only did we do nothing, we sat back and watched while Manchester City signed the centre back leader that we thought we were going to bring in. I remember a James Pearce piece saying it's a matter of if and not when, basically. If it doesn't happen this summer, it'll happen when his contract is up on a free. It feels as if we either never really wanted Mark A, or something's happened in the meantime, in between, because it just doesn't tally. Dave Sharple said, I prefer Diamonde over Semenyo. So I would have happily had either, but I think I agree with you, Dave. Semenyo's a really good player. A very good two-footed player, good athlete, and knows where the goal is. But there's something about this Diamonde kid that really feels special. And I hope Liverpool are there, and I hope Liverpool make the play for him, because he looks really good. Really good. I'm not saying keep Slot, but would you allow Slot to have the last season of his contract? No, I wouldn't, and here's why. And it isn't hating because I'm just trying to say get rid of him. Because then Alonso will go somewhere else, and that's the thing for me here, mate. I'm understanding that somebody might go give him the last year of his contract, but then what are the options going to be? Because after the World Cup, you could have some international managers moving on to new pastures. And Alonso's sitting there now, no club, no attachment, no, headache, straight in negotiate with him. So for that reason, and a bit of FOMO, I wouldn't give him that last year of his contract, no. Jamie Sutton said, I can't lie, I really like Omar Marmoush. Jamie, I said when Manchester City signed him that was disappointing. Now, I understand he did get a lot of money to go to Manchester City, but he looks and feels like he could have been a Liverpool player, I could see Marmoush in our team. And I do think his influence on that Manchester City team will grow over time, because he's a pretty good footballer. What player under Klopp is Diamonde most similar to? I don't know if I would say any, because he's got the two-footedness of a Lallana, but he's got the unpredictability of a Mane or Diaz. So I would say combination of a few. He's very good with both feet, and I've rarely seen players as good with both feet as like Lallana. Semenyo's incredibly good with both feet. To see Diamonde move the way he scores goals, the way he takes people on, it's been really a joy to sit back and do a bit of research on him. Like it's I know everybody looks good when you see YouTube clips, but when you start then looking into other aspects of his game and still feel equally as impressed, yeah, he feels like an incredible talent and seems so much older than the 19 with the way he plays. Alan, how are you, mate? Alan Sutton said, do you think Rio starts tomorrow or come on as a sub later in the game when they're tied? Yeah, I've been given this a lot of thought over the last day or two. And I've been thinking about my own team selection in my preview, which had Rio at left side of it. But I have to admit, Alan, the more I've thought about this, the more I think I made a mistake with my team selection. So here's what I'd like to change it to for tomorrow. I would have, obviously we know it's going to be Georgie in goal now. I'd have Frimpong at right back, Kanade and Virgil, Andy Robertson, a midfield of Gravenberch, McAllister and Szoboszlai. I'd have Wirtz on the left side of the attack, Ekitike through the middle and Salah on the right. And then I'd bring off Ngamoa later in the game if we need something. That's my thought process, because away from home, I want to keep it tight. I don't want to be overrun in midfield. I want to have that extra body in there. I think Wirtz can do a job on the left-hand side, but to me, tomorrow is about making sure we come back to Anfield and we don't leave ourselves too much work to do. By all means, go out there to try to win the game, but nothing silly, nothing naive. Go over there with a strong team, stay in a good, solid shape, and try to find something from the game. I'll have no worries if we leave there with a 0-0 tomorrow. I'll take that. Yeah, so the more I thought about it, like I said, I want to get that 3 bodies in midfield to make sure that they can't play through us there too easily. So that's kind of where my head's at with the team. But what do I think will happen? Sadly, I think we'll see Szoboszlai at right back, a midfield of McAllister, Gravenberch and Wirtz. I think you'll see Gakpo on the left, Ekitike through the middle and Salah on the right. That's what I think happens. John Smith said, Craig, do you think we beat City? I don't. We've already lost them twice. I'm not feeling confident about it, John, mate. No, I'm not. Can we do it? Yes. But would I be putting money on it? No, I wouldn't. Arthur said, I can see Spurs in for Arna. Bring Xabi home. Could be. Could be. You know, they tried to sign him before. I think Leeds and Spurs, 2 clubs in the Premier League that made moves for Arna previously before he became Liverpool head coach. There's a rumour doing the rounds, and I have to say rumour because I haven't been able to confirm this yet, but there's a rumour doing the rounds that said that Slot wanted to bring back Johnny Heidegger, but the club blocked it. Now, I don't know, as I said, if that's true or not, but if it is true, it's surely an indication that they don't think Slot's going to be there past the summer. But it's a big if, because like I said, I don't know this to be true. But I've been given that news by at least 4 different people. So, again, let's wait and see what happens. But it did feel weird when Heidegger became available and Liverpool made no move to do it. I know we have Van Bronckhorst at the club, but Heidegger was well liked by a lot of the players, was very active in the training pitch. John, it's away, mate. It's away. We travel to the Etihad for the quarterfinal. Would I take Bastoni in for Canade? So I do like Alessandro Bastoni, but I want him in a back 3 if we were to bring him in. I don't know, with the way the Premier League is, like if you look at our 2 centre-backs and their real strengths, you'd have to say they're incredibly good aerially. You know, Canade and Virgil just dominant aerially. Very, very good. Their dual success rate is brilliant. Bastoni doesn't fill me full of confidence in that regard. So him in his centre-back pairing, I'm not really sure. I'm not saying no to it, but I'd feel more comfortable if Alonso came in and you had a back 3 and Bastoni was the left side of a back 3. That would make me feel a lot more comfortable about it. Right, so keep voting away on our poll. When we get it to 1,500, we'll knock it on the head. I wanted to ask you about Anthony Robinson as well, so if you can, quickly have a vote on this one. We're asking, Champions League winner not, should Arna be sacked? Can I be controversial and put Rio on the right in place of Salah? Yes. Look, I think it's a fair point you've made, Jason, on not wanting to pigeonhole Rio into only being on the left. I agree with you on that. And we've seen him operate on the right-hand side when he came on before. If my memory doesn't elude me, though, Salah was dropped the last game against Galatasaray, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't see a repeat of that for tomorrow. I just don't. Because it feels like lately Arna is... What's the kindest way I can word this? Is trying not to rock the boat with the Mohamed Salah situation. So, yeah, I'll be very, very, very surprised if Salah's on the bench tomorrow. Did you see the Build report saying we're happy with our current centre-back options? I did, Mahmood. I touched on it a while ago. I'll go through it again for you now, mate, to give you another opinion on it. So, the report that the gentleman speaking about said that Liverpool are not looking to bring in Nico Schlotterbeck this summer. The Reds feel that they've addressed the future of the defence with Giovanni Leone and Xhaka and are happy with Van Dijk and Gomez. So the part where this falls down for me is the Gomez part. Because one, we don't know what happens with Canade, and we still have to figure that one out. But most people believe Joe Gomez is leaving in the summer. He nearly left to go to Milan at the end of the summer window, but it was too late. And it feels like he's going to go this summer. So that's going to be a position that opens up anyway. So that's where I somewhat have doubts in it. Now, I'm not saying that Liverpool are in for Schlotterbeck or not. I think Madrid are probably the one most likely to make a move for him. But, I don't believe for 1 second we're happy or we're complete at centre-back. And I don't think the club thinks that either. Itachi, how are we, sir? Evening, friends. What would be your dream starting 11 next season, including all current rumours? Manager would be Alonso, of course. I don't know, mate, because I'd have to really sit down on thinking about a back three, and then do you go 3-4-3, 3-5-2? Let's say I'd love to see Van Dijk, Bastoni, and Leone, or Van Dijk, Canade, and Bastoni, or I'd like to have Bastoni or Schlotterbeck, Canade, Virgil, Leone, and Xhaka. That would be incredible. Those 5 options would be incredible and would allow us to play with 3 at the back. But again, I think Canade holds the key to what happens at centre back, so I don't know how to predict it yet. That question's long. What? Win Champions League or not, should Slot be sacked? It's hardly War and Peace. Would you take Lamine Yamal for Salah next season? Of course I would. I don't think there's a football fan in the world that wouldn't want Lamine Yamal in their team. I still go back and forth on whether I think Salah leaves this summer or not. We touched on yesterday a report that said the club aren't going to let both Gakpo and Salah go because they don't want wholesale changes up top and they don't want to lose all that experience. So, I think if Arna stays, Salah is gone. But if Arna goes, I really don't know what does happen with Mo. I don't know what the club think. I think deep down, I never felt Michael Edwards wanted to give him a new contract. But I just feel like he'd no choice at this point because he earned it. His performances last season, on top of all of his other great seasons, just meant it that there's no way that he could have not given him a contract extension. No chance. There would have been mutiny. Where would Rio fit in if we played a back three? I don't see him playing as a wing back. So again, if it's a 3-4-3, or excuse me, if it's a 3-4-3 system, well, there you've got your 3. So nothing really changes in attack. It's how you utilise the 4 then in midfield. Do you go with 2 central midfielders and 2 wing backs? Or do you perhaps go with 3 central midfielders and 1 player that can float and attack in a wide space? So like I said, it comes down to whether you go 3-5-2, 3-4-3, and you will find a place for Rio. He will get game time and he will be given an opportunity because he's good. But there's a lot of hypotheticals in that one. We're going to have to wait and see. Have I visited the Principality Stadium in Cardiff? No, I haven't. Haven't had the pleasure. I believe that's one of those stadiums that you walk in and go downwards into your seat, which is kind of unique. No, I haven't had the pleasure. Although I was in Cardiff and I probably should have taken the chance to go, but we had the live show and we were a bit busy, so didn't manage to see it. Would I take Rafinha for Ekitike 100 million? Respectfully, my friend, these are kind of very out there questions. I don't want Rafinha at Liverpool. So, apart from that, I don't want Ekitike to leave either. So we've about 25 votes to go, and then I want to move on to a vote about the Anthony Robinson links. Motorhome Dreamer said we have to have a bigger squad next season. Was far too small this one. I agree, mate. I agree. It's going to be a tricky one though, because if we're building out the squad, you know, convincing the players coming in as well about getting regular game time, it'll be a difficult one. This season, I think we've struggled more because of the uncertainty Arna has with some players. So Chiesa, 7 million quid, pissed up against the wall every season because he's not getting game time. We had Elliott before, who again wasn't getting game time. So I don't like the fact that the manager isn't fully utilising the players that he does have available to him. It's admitting to us that they're not good enough. You know, you haven't seen much of Endo this season. We haven't seen all that much of Rio yet. So, you know, Chiesa. So what you can only take from that is that he doesn't rate these players. And then that's more frustrating to us because we're seeing benches. And on these benches, you're seeing players that, you know, are there to fill it up because you know he's not going to use them. Let's have a look at the travelling squad and we'll talk about who's available for this one. So Liverpool's confirmed travelling squad to go over to take on Galatasaray is Joe Gomez, Van Dijk, Kanade, Kirkes, Wirtz, Soboslai, McAllister, Salah, Jones, Gakpo, Ekitike, Mamadashvili, Robertson, Woodman, Frimpong, Gravenberch, Neoni, Nalo, Morrison, Engamoa, Miscure. That's the Reds' travelling squad to go over. Let's see what happens there then tomorrow with the bench and who's on it. Two keepers on the bench. That has wound me up. And there were sometimes this season the away side, the travelling side, had a bigger bench than we did. We need natural left footers in the team apart from Salah. Yeah, it's never any harm having a couple of left footers in the team. I agree with you. It's the more of us, the better. I'm a left footer. So yeah, I'm fully on board with signing more left footed players. With Xabi Alonso, we'll get our heart and soul back. I hope so. I hope so, mate. Right, so we've now passed 1,500 votes and we asked, Champions League win or not, should Arna still be sacked? Look at that. 81% of people say yes, even if he won the Champions League. There's no way back for this manager. And surely the club see that. You know? Imagine saying that. It's mental. 81% of us think, and I would have voted the same, by the way, that even if he wins the Champions League, want him gone. That's saying something, like. Because for Liverpool fans to then look at it and go, a manager's come in, he's won a league in the first year and the European Cup in the second year, and we still can't take two. Right, let's start that poll. Okay, where it was, bear with me. Where's that link gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go. Okay, so this poll question is, would you take Anthony Robinson for £25 million to replace Robbo? Now again, nobody's asked do you want Robbo to go, but this piece here said, Fulham and USA left back Anthony Robinson favours a move to Liverpool over Manchester United this summer. Both clubs are in the market for reinforcements in this position, with Liverpool looking to replace Andy Robertson and United planning for life without Luke Shaw. Robinson could be available for around £25 million. Now, like I've said, my first preference is to keep Andy Robertson. But if Robbo does depart, sign me up for that. 25 million quid. I'd take Anthony Robinson as competitor for Milos Kerkez or backup for Milos Kerkez every day of the week at 25 million quid. Premier League tested, established international, very, very, very experienced, great engine. And again, remember, this is coming in to compete with or back up Milos. So I would bite your hand off for him at 25 million quid. Luke said, if Alonso becomes manager, what players do you believe could be loyal to him and sign for Liverpool if we went for them? I don't know. I don't know of any other players around that he would have worked with that would be loyal to him or that would be ready to come into Liverpool. So yeah, I don't know is the answer. But I certainly think it would excite the dressing room. Harry said, yeah, absolutely. Robinson for 25 million, sign me up. Would you be interested in bringing Craig Hackett from Hearts of Midlothian? I don't know anything about him. I don't watch Hearts, mate. So the answer is probably going to be no. Yeah, I don't watch much Scottish football though. Have I heard about Golden View? No, never heard of it. It's a clever name though. Clever name, but no, never heard of it. Pancake Friday said I want Alonso but not the back three. So I think again I didn't really follow his time at Real Madrid all that closely, but I think he played with a back four at Madrid at times. Now maybe the chat can help me out on that one. But I do remember a conversation with somebody where they said Alonso he did tweak a system and did change the system at Madrid at times. Now again, if I'm wrong, I apologise, but I do have a memory of someone saying that to me. Do you think there'd be any of our players that couldn't fit into an Alonso system? Really good question. I mean, there was a fair question about what happens to some of the wide players with Rio, like as an example. I think that was an astute, well asked question. Not really. No, not really. I mean, maybe Gakpo might struggle a little bit. No, other than that, I can't think of too many. Tyrone said Liverpool beats Man City from a Yorkshireman as City got some tough games coming up. They can't win everything, just fancy Liverpool to win it. If it was at home, Tyrone, if it was at Anfield, mate, I'd feel a lot more confident about it. But yeah, I can't lie, mate. It's a pretty tough draw. But you are right. You made a good point about the games that they have. We touched on it a little bit earlier on. They they do have a lot to be playing for. But it's Liverpool, and there'll always be a bit of spice for them with that game, and with Pep Linders in the dugout as well because Guardiola's suspended. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. Dave, you made me smile with that one, bro. Dave said, Craig, slot waffles. Shame he isn't waffly versatile. Maybe it's just you and I, Dave, or maybe we're just getting too old, but they go with eggs in, eggs on, bacon, lamb chops, grill 'em, bake 'em, fry 'em, meat 'em, bird's eye potato waffles. They're waffly versatile. I always loved that ad. And who doesn't love a bird's eye potato waffle? I mean, other waffles are available, but do we think Alonso would play up front for both with both Ekatike and Isak? Good question. Again, I think my instinct would be to say no. Usually, he would have looked to have gone with somebody off a striker, so with 10 off the striker. Now, that's not to say Tweet couldn't be changed or there couldn't be a way to utilise both of them, but my gut instinct would be to say one striker and a 10 off the striker. Yeah. I saw that Robinson is ranked 823 in Golden View. As I said, I don't know what it is, so I've no idea, but I do like the name of it. It's a clever name. Craig doing endorsements for Birdseye now. I don't get any of this commercial joy, you know? If it Coca-Cola and Adidas, they're the two dreams for me. If Adidas ever, I'd do Adidas promotion for free. Adidas, if you're listening, for free. Just send me a few bits of kit, a few bits of Adidas gear. That's all. I'll be happy as a pig and poo. Adidas is my wet dream of a brand sponsor. I would fall off my chair if I ever got to work with Adidas. I am an unashamed Adidas fanboy. And I've told you guys this. My wife has me on her phone as Adidas boy and has done since we start going out with each other at 8 to 19. What do you think about the current rumours that Craig Houlden from Anfield Agenda is in talks with Liverpool to eventually become the new head coach if Arne Slot doesn't win the Champions League? Nailed on. Honestly, I wouldn't take the job. I wouldn't want to be the man who shits the bed with Liverpool, and I know I would. I wouldn't be anywhere near the man for the. I'll do the pre-game talks though. Put me in at half time. Put me in for the pre-game and post-game. Encouraging talks. Give me that. Yeah, I'll be the motivational speaker, but I could be the manager's anger interpreter. So yeah, the manager could say something and I'll tell you what he really wants to say. That I could do. Craig, do you think this Arsenal squad would be one of the worst to win the league? So I find it very unfair to talk about anybody winning the league to try and undermine it. Because, and here's why I say that. It hurt me, it annoyed me, it pissed me off as a Liverpool fan to see so many people, a lot of them Arsenal fans, want to undermine not just our first, but both of our title wins in recent times. And I always promised that if Arsenal won a league title, I wouldn't do to their fans what they all tried to do to us. So I will always give whoever wins the league that isn't Manchester City credit. Because you don't win it by accident. You know, it's a tough league to win. And Arsenal haven't broken the rules. Their brand of football is horrendously boring. Arteta is an unlikable character. Their fan base are quite frustratingly annoying at times. But if they win the league, they win the league fairly and they deserve the credit for it. You know, I'm not going to resort to that level to try to undermine their league title. You know, they win it, fair play to them. You know, I always say to my wife and my kids, you know, when they say, but this person did this, I always say we judge ourselves by how we carry ourselves. We judge ourselves by our actions. We can't be held responsible for what others do or say. We judge ourselves by how we are. And I don't want to be the guy that undermines Arsenal fans if they win the league. I'll do it to City fans all day because I think they're a bunch of cheating fucks and nothing is ever going to change my mind on that. But Arsenal, it's one of those, you just have to take it on the chin. You know, remember, we lived through United winning leagues after leagues after leagues after leagues after leagues. And it doesn't get much tougher than that when you're growing up surrounded by United fans. So if Arsenal have a bit of success, it'll suck, but, you know, let them have it. Arsenal play so boring and are reliant on set pieces, but can't lie, Liverpool have been boring. Oh, we have. We definitely have. But look, Arsenal fans won't care how they play if they win the league, nor should they. I remember, I said this to you guys a few weeks ago, I remember doing a video with McCullough for 888 Sport back in the day. And I remember him trying to say that Henderson would be the worst ever captain to lift the Premier League title. And I just thought, yeah, this is the garbage you're up against when you're making content. It's, you know, what I've always tried to do is give an honest view of our opponents, other teams in the league, other players, and not kind of dress it up with sensationalist stuff outside of my Paul Scholes comment. That was absolutely shithouse. But apart from that, I've always tried to give credit where it's due, give an honest assessment of what I see from teams. And look, Arsenal's team are horrendous to watch. They are. They're not at all enjoyable to sit through and watch a 90-minute game of. And the stuff they've gotten away with time wasting this season, it is not a good look that the ball's only been in play for what? There was 31 minutes or something the ball wasn't in play of their last game, which is shocking. Craig, look, I'm sorry, but I really don't see the hype with Alonso. One phenomenal season in Germany, and apart from that, it's all just fueled by fanfare. Um, well, but what do you mean apart from that? Like, what he can only have managed so many years, so I don't really get what you're trying to say. He didn't just have one phenomenal season. In his first season with Leverkusen, he took them from, I'm not sure if they were in the relegation zone, but took them flying back up the table. Then consolidated, came back in and won the league perfectly without losing a game. Then he went to Madrid, and again, anybody is going to fail at that Madrid at the minute, the way they go in, unless your name's maybe Jurgen Klopp or somebody of that ilk. So I don't hold that against them. So I don't see what more you think he could have achieved in his short time as a head coach. You know, Sociedad was his learning curve. Then he went over to Germany. So, you know, for me as a Liverpool fan, I look at it and think it's a style of football I could get behind. It's a personality that we know gives a shit about the club and we know will endear himself to fans. He gets it. So, but I've always said as well, the number one target would be Luis Enrique for me. But I just don't think he's achievable. So that's why, you know, outside of that, there isn't really a whole lot of top tier managers left in world football. There's a lot of up and coming young coaches that are doing well. But, you know, the days of the Guardiolas, the Klopps, they're all coming to an end. The Mourinho's, football's moved past him. So I think Alonso ticks a lot of boxes and also is out of a job now, which is, you know, a big factor. Itachi said, tomorrow, 3-1 victory, Hugo, Flo and Maka to score, up the Reds. Remember when Stoke played long throw-ins and Mourinho played destructive football? People absolutely rinsed them. What about the brand of football in the Premier League now? Effective playing time in Premier League is crazy. It's definitely been a season that won't go down, Peter, as one of the most exciting styles of football in the Premier League. You know, it's become a bit more of a physical league at the minute, and you know, it is what it is. Football's cyclical. Things are changing a bit. But it's up to the Premier League and the PGMOL to sort it out. You know, they've let a lot go this season and it's probably gone a little bit too far at times, but you know, it is what it is. You know, we looked at some of the corner routines and you just think there's about 4 fouls in there, at least. There's players being blocked off, there's pushing and shoving. And I don't see how they've gotten away with interpreting the laws in that way. And I don't mind a bit of physicality in the 6-yard box, but I want consistency across competitions. And when we play Galatasaray, or when Manchester City play Real Madrid, or when Arsenal play Leverkusen, they're not going to get away with those antics. They're not going to get away with doing that in the Champions League. So the fact that we're talking openly and have done for many years about English games being refereed different to European games is a problem. It's a problem. There's no consistency. So games, you should know what you're getting. And you shouldn't have to adjust yourself, your tactics accordingly for a variation of the rules. It just all feels a bit weird. And also, in that West Ham game tonight, like I said at the start of the stream, the referee bottled the decision. He bottled it because he knew VAR was there to bail him out. And that has to be called out. It has to be. And I'm glad the 2 commentators, Ali McCoist and Fletcher, called it out. Because that is cowardice. Not making the decision. They're not sharp anymore. Because they're knowing that if they don't give it, they'll be called to the monitor if they've messed up. That's not what we want. Because that just adds more time into these things getting reviewed. That was a blatant penalty. Everybody could see it. Give the fucking penalty. Do your job. And we seen it in the FA Cup weekend, not the one gone, but the one before that, where there was no VAR. You see the referees absolutely, some of them falling apart. It's just not good enough. It isn't. It's not good enough. Well, I was going to read out your comment about your granddad, but you just retracted it. The person who's allowed long throw-ins to be part of football needs sacking. It's football, not volleyball. I don't mind a long throw-in. I don't mind it at all. they're effective, they're impactful, they're direct. But the problem I have with corners is the goalkeepers are being impeded left, right, and centre. And I say that as a former goalkeeper. They're being impeded all over the place. They don't have a fair shot at going out there. They're obstructed in their attempts to get to the ball. And that, again, I don't see that as being within the spirit or the rules. Refs are just assistant to the VAR room, not fully in charge. Exactly, mate. Exactly. And we were told for so long we didn't want VAR re-refereeing games. But that's unfortunately what's happening now. And it's not the first time I've noticed it, and I'm sure you guys have seen it as well, that officials didn't make the decision because they know VAR is going to be there. And this clear and obvious stuff comes into that conversation again. Because if they give it, they're worried the VAR won't overrule it if they're wrong. Because the clear and obvious thing. So they don't give it, hoping the VAR will then intervene. That's just ruining the experience for everybody. It's ruining the experience for the players, the fans inside the stadium. And again, referees are becoming less sharp. Wrexham would have got Port Vale for placing the FA Cup semis if it wasn't for VAR. Football is more and more situational and not free-flowing and spontaneous, boring stuff. Very fair. Very fair. Like I've said, and made this point many times on the channel over the years, they've taken a low-scoring sport and tried to find a way to make it even less of a scoring sport. They've tried to take a sport that, if you were to ask people who don't watch it why they don't watch it, they would say sometimes it's too boring, there's not enough action, and all these things. And they've now found a way to make it even more annoying. So, for the last poll of the night, I want to ask about VAR. So, what have we got? Really quickly, if you can vote on this poll and haven't voted yet, please do. We're asking, would you take Anthony Robinson for 25 million quid to replace Robbo? Because I want to move on to have a conversation about VAR. Because I'm all for scrapping it at this point. And I know people will say it's not VAR, it's the officials and all this, but it's just going to become more and more intrusive. And it's just going to be more and more of a way for football games to be impeded. And it isn't the product we were pitched as fans. It isn't the thing that stops the debates down the pub. It's just created a whole new cottage industry for shows around referees and all this bollocks that none of us want. So I am fully on board with getting rid of VAR. It won't happen because there's too much money gone into it, but I would get rid of it tomorrow. Arsenal used 35 minutes on restarts against Brighton. I know, Peter, it's shocking. Shocking. And got away with it. K_2112 said, VAR is the ruin of the game. It takes credibility from the outcome and removes accountability from the refs. Exactly. 100%. Look, automated offside, fair enough. That's grand. But this microscopic, like, did you see them looking at Brentford's first goal tonight? Like, they went back and back and back and back and over and over and over just to see if the ball glanced off Thiago's arm. Now, it hit his stomach and went in, but my God, they wanted to rule that out. They were looking at it from every fucking angle to see if they could see a slightest movement of the arm to rule out the goal. It was shocking. Craig, is there a bigger picture to the VAR stuff? Are the refs instructed to let it go to VAR, etc., so the game can be controlled by the powers that be? Well, it's a talking point. Certainly, it's given the ability for football to be potentially manipulated. Now, again, I'm not making any accusations about that, but it's certainly not made the game more transparent, has it? And I don't like as well that we don't get to hear the VAR conversations. You know, the lads in punditry on comms get to hear it, but we, the fans, don't get to hear it. Right, so 66% of you guys said you would take Anthony Robinson, but I want to just ask on VAR. Right. Should VAR be removed from football? Yes or no? Let us know what you think on that one. Look, I'll openly admit I was all for VAR when it came in because of the way it was being pitched to us. But like most things in life, whether it's politics or sport or anything else, what you get promised and what gets delivered are usually very different things. And in the Premier League, we were slow to bring VAR in because they wanted to trial it longer. And then we've brought it in and it's not enhancing football. Not at all. And they keep banging on about, well, more percentage of the right decisions are being made. Well, are they? Because a lot of that's subjective as well. And what we have is now an experience where fans in the stadium don't really know what's going on. As many of you have said in the chat, you're almost afraid to celebrate because you don't know what's happening. Or are they going to forensically go back 5 or 6 phases of play to find something stupid? And then there's the lack of consistency. It has angered football fans more than any change to football that I can remember in my lifetime. And I was around when passbacks were allowed. This is the biggest change and the biggest annoyance or gaslighting of football fans in a generation. Itachi, thank you, my man. Appreciate you. Very kind of you. Said, big thanks to you, Craig, and the community, giving me normality and strength in current days. Mom got cancer and it's not curable. Every week could be her last. She's strong and is happy about every day she's given to. I'm so sorry to hear that, my man. Yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that, dude. Must be very difficult for you and your family, and I think cancer has touched all of our lives at one point. Your mum sounds like a really strong woman, you know, and credit to her. And I wish her as much peace and comfort as possible, bro, and as much time with you and your family as possible. That meme guy said, it's the people in the VAR room, not VAR itself. But they are VAR. So that argument to me really just doesn't hold water. Because that is VAR. That is what we're getting. So, you know, you can say it's the people in the room, not the system. But yeah, they're still the referees, mate. They're still the officials. And I don't think that's going to change. I would say VAR should not be removed, but definitely change. We need change if we can't make a decision in 30 seconds and it goes back to the on-field decision. See, I don't think that's possible because there will be a decision or two that needs to check 2 or 3 phases, and that naturally is going to take longer. So I don't want to rush to a decision if it's not the right decision, but I also think there's some things they're doing that really wind me up. Like showing you a tackle or a handball or anything in slow motion should be banned. And it wasn't supposed to be the case. Slow motion was only supposed to be used in a set of very specific circumstances. Was the challenge on the edge of the 18-yard box or inside it? When was the ball released? There was moments that was supposed to be used for. But you and I have all watched football matches where we've seen the ref go over to the monitor and they go over to the monitor and they're met with a freeze frame of the worst point of the challenge right there in front of their eyes when they get to the monitor. Now, nobody's going to tell me that that's not putting an idea straight into the referee's head. Nor do I think that we should be looking at anything in football in slow motion because it's not fucking played in slow motion. Football's played at a pace and everything looks more intentional in slow motion. So why are we giving referees the replays in slow motion? It's silly. And there's been study after study done on this in sport. That slow motion replays, more often than not, end up with the thing that's being accused of being given because it looks more intentional. Whether it's a handball, whether it's a foul, whatever it is, it looks more intentional. You know when I lost any belief in VAR? It was that Curtis Jones red card when his foot rolled over the top of the ball and it landed on one of the opposing players and he got sent off for it. I still to this day can't believe that was a red card. It absolutely, that and the Luis Diaz goal, that was it for me. There was no coming back from that. That was like, fuck you to all of us. That was horrendously bad. Yeah, Sabrina was saying, yeah, somebody's nose was offside the other day. It's like, how was that gaining an advantage? I do think the offside rule could be looked at, and I think maybe you could go with the player's feet or something, because players naturally lean forward. You're not getting an advantage by being a millimetre offside. You're getting an advantage if you've got space, if you've actually nicked 2 yards. It was the high kick on Macca, said Tony Shallow. Yeah, that was another one. You know, both of them went in high. I mean, for the love of God. You know, both of them went in high, was what the VAR was saying there. Oh, fuck off. And then on top of that, we had the Martin Odegaard handball, where he clearly puts his arm around and moves the ball away from the player towards him, and that's supposed to be accidental as well. James Bailey said, my biggest issue with VAR are, one, we don't hear what's being said like they do in rugby. It's great to, if it's so great, what if they got to hide? And two, I hate how long it takes to make a decision and the inconsistencies. I think they're both very understandable, fair critiques. Itachi said, I'm really happy to be part of Anfield Agenda. It's almost a year now and I love to be here with you. Thank you, man. We love having you as well. Thank you. It really is a community on here, man. It's, you know, some really good people in our community, and it's a pleasure to have gotten to know so many of them over the course of the last few years. What about Doku and Macca? Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, John. That the VAR went and said they both went in high. Excuse me? They both went in high. Macca chests the ball and gets kicked in it, and they both went in high. Okay. Loads of people saying that their moment was the Luis Diaz goal. At least with that, though, I could genuinely think a mistake was made because it was a communication thing. I think that, so with that, it was horrendously bad, but it feels like it was just a moment where they learned how to communicate better in VAR. And I think they brought in some of the rugby officials to talk to them about communicating these incidents, because that felt like a breakdown of communication. And I think that the VAR felt like they were saying there was nothing wrong with it, and then it was communicated incorrectly, and, you know, we are where we are. How about Rodri's handball against Everton? Yeah, that's another good shout. And there's been many of them. At least 70% of the refs need sacking in this league. It's definitely, I would say to you that for a league that has the most money in it in the world, we have bang average officials for the quality of the players and the money that's in the league. Josh, how are you, my friend? Said, hey, Craig from Donegal. Love your channel. I hope you and the family are well. Thank you, Josh. All good, thank you, my man. Can't complain. Yeah, really looking forward to my holiday in a few weeks. But yeah, thank you for dropping in, man. Appreciate you. Even if we remove VAR, we still have the refs to make the worst mistakes. Yeah, but look, I can understand a ref making a mistake. You know, we don't like it, but at least then you can say, right, is that human error? But for me, when you see a decision and the ref makes it split second, if they get it wrong, you think, okay, fair enough. But when you then see a decision that you still think is wrong, and then somebody else has looked at it in the VAR room and backed up the wrong decision, oh, that's a level of frustration that I never thought I'd feel with sport. Because you're then getting a double fuck you. You're getting the initial decision that you don't think was right. And then when somebody looks at it and you're seeing this evidence in your mind, a very clear evidence that this should be called and it doesn't, and then you bring in Ref Watch on top of that. Oh, don't get me started on Ref Watch. What about the Jordan Pickford foul on Virgil? Didn't even get booked. Yeah, there's another great show. So, do you remember when, what's his face? Nancy McNon's face. What's his name? Mac and Me referee. What's his name? I've already forgotten his name. What's his name? Yes, David Coote. Yes, thank you. Do you remember when the Coote stuff came out? Do you remember how quickly Gary Neville went to try to back him up? To say, we've all been there. We've all been drunk. And we're thinking, Gary, mate, you don't even know all the facts and you're running to his defence. To say, oh, well, referees are good people, or, they're not bad people, blah, blah, blah. Well, if we can't have an honest conversation and think that maybe, just maybe, like in any walk of life, that some of these referees are just arseholes, then again, we're just being disingenuous. Because in any walk of life, there are going to be people in a job that are not fit to do it or are suspect. So he was so quick to run to his defence. And again, anybody who's ever been around anybody that's partaken in some nose candy knows that he wasn't drunk in that video. He didn't even look in the slightest bit fucking drunk in that video. He looked intoxicated in a different way. So for him to run out and go, oh, we've all been there. Really? Really? That's what we're going with. That's what we're going with there. Do we know Wirtz is playing tomorrow? Well, he's available. I can tell you that much. But, whether he starts the game or not, that'll be up to the manager, his decision. But he is fit and available. We don't have Chiesa and we don't have Alisson tomorrow, unfortunately. Anyone see the Cruzeiro and Atletico Mineiro with 23 red cards? Yeah. I think Hulk was involved in it as well. There was a challenge on the goalkeeper, and then the goalkeeper spear tackled somebody, and then all hell broke loose, and there was 23 red cards. Crazy. And that was the cup final, I think, as well. Kaz, good morning to you. I said, good morning, all. I'm a bit slow this morning, so excuse any spelling. Hope you're all well. Oh, Kaz, I can't even say my name. Don't even remember my children's name without coffee, Kaz. That's how bad I am in the mornings. Well, I say mornings, early afternoons. I say early, mid-afternoons. Right, so we're asking you for the final poll of the night, and we've got about 10 minutes left on tonight's stream. Should VAR be removed from football? Let me run through all the stories for you guys that we've gone through tonight for anybody coming in a bit late. So we found out that there was no Alisson Becker in the travelling squad for the Galatasaray game. He felt something in training. We also found out that there was no Chiesa. He's got an illness. So Liverpool's travelling squad to take on Galatasaray tomorrow. And remember, we'll be live from 4:30 UK and Irish time for that. It's Gomez, Van Dijk, Kanade, Kirkes, Wirtz, Soboslai, McAllister, Salah, Jones, Gakpo, Ekitike, Mamardashvili, Robertson, Woodman, Frimpong, Gravenberch, Neoni, Nalo, Morrison, Engamoa and Miscure. Then we went on and gave you quotes from Arna about not being able to compete again this season. He said, we always knew this would be very difficult because we lost a lot of players and we brought players in that took some time to get up to speed. We always knew the signings we made would be big success of this club, but we also knew that it might take some time to adapt, and that I think has been shown. Not by the performances, but playing every 3 days. That intensity is something new for a few of them. Add to that the injuries we had, some players missing at a pre-season, the ones that won the league last season. That has meant with multiple other factors that we're not able to compete and win it again. And give credit to other teams as well. The way Arsenal has done it in the summer by signing so many players and still playing the football they do as they did the season already, they improved even more. Manchester City are always on top over there. They have been better than us this season. That's completely clear. So, on the players not being able to play twice a week. Most of those players were at clubs playing in European competition. So I don't know where he's going with this. Frimpong, Wirtz were playing the Champions League. Ekitike was playing European football. Isak, I can't actually remember if Newcastle were in Europe last season or not, to be honest with you. So I don't know there. Leone, fair enough, but he hasn't been available anyway. So I don't know what he's really banging on about the players not being able to play every 3 days. Most of them are pretty used to that. Now, yes, the intensity of the Premier League is a bit different, but again, I just think it's excuse making. Then we had a report from Portugal, from Ebola, that LFC Transfer Room posted to say Liverpool have set their sights on Portuguese right back Daniel Banjaquai, age 17 from Benfica. The promising defender has a £25 million release clause, but Benfica want to give him an approved contract this month when he turns 18 with a huge release clause. Then we talked about Georgie Mamardashvili on being deputy to Alisson. He said, my ex-goalkeeping coach when I was at Valencia told me I had to find balance between ambition and patience. So keep working and you never know when your chance is coming. It is, of course, never easy because there's just one goal. But as I said, if I don't play, I don't mind. I have to work hard every day and that's it. My time will come for sure. Maybe not this year, but my time will come. Also from Arne Slot, he said, it's very important for us as a team to be in the Champions League. It's shown how important it is for this club financially. We know we're in transition at the moment with this team. We always knew it was going to come after Jurgen left. It was also something they said to me when the first conversations were there. We're still in that transition, and a transition works better if there's money available. So we know how important it is to qualify players just to play Champions League football, but definitely also financially for the club. Then we had that report from OK Diario over in Spain that said Xabi Alonso has an agreement in place to take over at Liverpool next season on a 3-year deal, provided Arne Slot doesn't win the Champions League. On top of that, we gave you some comments from Florian Wirtz. He said, from the day I had interest of Liverpool, I found out that they're also interested in Jeremy. We were sitting next to each other, so we were speaking almost every day how it's going and how it will be so cool if we go together. He also went on to say that his footballing idol was always Messi. For our generation, he's the best player ever. Then we talked a little bit about Anthony Robinson, the Fulham and USA left-back. Anthony Robinson favours a move to Liverpool over Manchester United this summer. Both clubs are in the market for reinforcements in this position, with Liverpool looking to replace Andy Robertson and United planning for life without Luke Shaw. Robinson could be available for around 25 million. Then we had a report from Tuttosport over in Italy saying while Juventus are working hard to tie down Kefren Thuram to a new contract, there's interest from Liverpool, Aston Villa and Manchester United for a potential transfer. Thuram has become one of Serie A's best midfielders in the last 2 seasons. Then we had some contract talk from McAllister, who said we are not in contract talks, but we are not in a rush. Then we had McAllister on winning the Champions League. He said, it's my dream right now. It's a World Cup year, so why not win it twice? But Champions League is an important goal this season. We have a team who can win it, and I'm pretty sure the game tomorrow is going to be a tough one. Then Arne Slot told us about Chiesa. He said Federico felt unwell last night. That's why he wasn't training. Alisson was in the session, but he felt something towards the end of it. We decided that it wasn't good enough to play. No use in travelling. Chance to be back on Sunday. We don't expect it to be too big. Then we had the manager talking about Galatasaray, and he said there wasn't a lot between us in September in the game. Open play, quite similar. 50-50 game. We lost because of the penalty. So 2 very good teams playing each other. Then we had a comment from Alexis McAllister on Ryan Gravenberch signing a new deal. He said, I want to congratulate Ryan as it's really good for him and he deserves it. He's been a really important player for us in the season. We won the Premier League, which is not easy at all. So congratulations to him. Arne Slot undertakes his 100th game as Liverpool head coach tomorrow, and on that milestone he said this, makes me really proud I can be the Liverpool manager on the 100th game. Not a bad track record, even if sometimes we get a different feeling. Makes me proud, and it's nice that the 100th game is such a nice one to play. But as always, it's about the players. I try to prepare them from the same for the 99 games before. They have to perform, and I'm lucky I have a very good team. I have all the trust these players will perform to the levels of a Liverpool team. On the right back conundrum, he said this: have you been a manager? No. Straight in with the snarkiness. You mentioned 4 names. I have 5 or 6 different players there this season. Szoboszlai is one of them. A lot played well in midfield. We have choices to make, and there has not been happening a lot. Usually the same 13 or 14 players playing. I could impact the game off the bench at Wolves, which was something new. If I play Dom at right back, it's because he's the best player for the position, not because we don't have the options there. The more players available, the better, because sometimes they get tired later in the season. Then we moved on to Bench Bochak reporting that Liverpool will meet with Caleb ENQUIRIES agents during the March international break to discuss a potential transfer for the Nordsjælland star. The 20-year-old's ability to play as a defensive or box-to-box midfielder as well as fullback makes him a highly attractive prospect for the Reds. Then there was a report from Telefoot that said Liverpool have set their eyes on Bournemouth forward Eli Junior Krupi, who is having a wonderful season, having scored 8 goals and started 13 times. A possible move to Liverpool could be in the works at the end of the season. Then it went to Bild, who said Liverpool are not looking to bring Nico Schlotterbeck this summer. The Reds feel that they've addressed the future of their defence with Giovanni Leone and Xhaka, and are happy with Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, among other current options in their squad. And finally, we had City Report writing that with Pep Guardiola suspended, Pep Lijnders will be the main man in the dugout for the FA Cup quarter-final tie against Liverpool. So that is pretty much where we're at, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to the news tonight. Right, what else we got? I would never understand why they didn't just immediately go with Alonso if he's their guy after he was sacked. Why wait? Their decision will be more egregious if and when Liverpool go out of the Champions League. I agree. Like I said, the Forest game, he'd have been fired for me at that point. So our poll, we asked, should VAR be removed from football? It's quite close, this one. 53% of you said yes, you would remove VAR from football, and 47% said no. Isak's had 32 appearances in Champions League and Europa, scoring 5 at Liverpool, Newcastle, Dortmund and Sociedad. I just couldn't remember, Simon, mate, if Newcastle were in the Champions League last season or not. I couldn't remember. Alex said the draw really is a nightmare. Arsenal would have been better since they're pretty one-dimensional. Yeah, it's a tough draw. No denying that, mate. It is the toughest of tough draws. Right, before we finish up, a last shout out. Don't forget to enter our giveaway. We're giving away this signed Kenny Dalglish frame shirt completely free. Scan the QR code below or use the link in the description for further details. And that is being brought to you with thanks to our friends at thecollectorscorner.co.uk. If you're a fan of memorabilia or you want to search for something special, you can also get yourself 20% off with our discount code Anfield Agenda 1. Use that at checkout or scan the QR code on the screen. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start winding the stream down and say goodnight to you. Just a reminder that tomorrow we'll start our coverage of the watch-along at 4:30. It's a 5:45 kickoff, so we'll have match reaction, player ratings video. We'll have a late night news video coming out tomorrow night as well. And then, of course, we'll all tuck in to watch the rest of those Champions League games on Tuesday, Wednesday night. So, ladies and gents, appreciate you. If you can, before you head off, hit that like button for me. It only takes a second, but it really does help. And again, thank you to everyone that came in and joined us. It's been another fun stream. Thanks a lot, Craig, for using my poll suggestion. My pleasure. I promise you we do it, my man. And I'm a man of my word. We got there in the end. Keane had to remind me of the wording of it, but pleasure as always. Right, folks, have a good one. I'm going to wait 14 more seconds because then it's exactly a 2-hour stream. And yeah, that side of me will feel a lot more calm. So give me 7 more seconds and then we'll say goodnight. 3, 2, 1. Good night, everybody. Much love. Bye-bye.